Welcome to the art room this year. As you walk into the art room, you're going to see the same rug if you were at the Northside Art Room last year. There's a little change up front. You will see some colored pieces of paper on the floor. We will talk about that a little bit later today. Those colors are going to match the color on the table that you sit at. So you're going to be having kind of an assigned spot on that rug when you come in the room. You'll notice that there is a new chair, so that's Mrs. Cleary's chair to sit in, not for any students. In the front of the room, we'll be using the smartboard quite a bit. Under that smartboard, there will be some books for free time. And you'll notice that yellow bin says scrap box. That will have a lid on it most days. That's good paper going in there. We don't want to throw our trash or scraps. The art room gray bin, that's our recycling bin where we're going to put most of our scraps after projects and things that we don't need anymore. As we walk around the room, you're going to notice that there is a bulletin board for each grade. You're going to see what our project is that we're going to be working on each week. It'll be hanging up there. And under that, some things that you're going to be able to do with that project. I can statements and just some important vocabulary words. In the front of the room this year, there is the yarn and fiber station. So that is just for projects. That's not something you need to be touching unless Miss Cleary says. I know that oftentimes kids like to use extra yarn and things, but that is just for projects. Next to that is our library, and that is an area that you may use every week if you finish early. So reading books is an option. The iPads will probably be on top of that station. iPads are only when Miss Cleary says that's not a free choice. iPads are only to write on Artsonia, and we'll talk about that later this year. So we're not using the iPads on a normal day unless we've earned it for behavior. So the iPads are just for Artsonia every day. Games and apps are for rewards. Your area this year has moved and changed a little bit. I have an extra table for free choice. So on that table you'll see some texture plates, stencils, drawing books, there's some stools. You can sit in that area for free time. There's a couple bean bags that are still good that we can sit in. You can use that area for free choice, the rug. All the supplies that you will need are in these cubbies. So markers, crayons, colored pencils, you're going to find in the station rulers, extra scissors, hole punches. On top is our pencil sharpening station. So those pencil sharpeners all work nice. You'll see that there's a couple of cups to put sharpened pencils or not need sharpening, and erasers. There's also free draw paper in that top cubby. So the white paper up there in the top corner. I'm going to even point to it. There's my finger right there. That is your free draw paper. You're allowed one paper on a normal art day. The sink area, following those same rules you've learned from your classroom teacher at the sink. Make sure you share it. It's not that big when we all have messes. There's a stool if you need it. Garbage can is right there, paper towel. The art room has two sinks, so we'll get to the other side of the room in a little bit. Same rules at that sink. We have a couple of different drying racks. If you are in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, you're probably going to be using that tall drying rack. It's easy to get things in and out of. Older grades, we will be using the bigger drying rack. And that one's a little bit challenging to use, so we'll talk about that when we need it. The back cubbies back there are for Mrs. Cleary to store all of your projects for the whole year. You should not have to go in there at all unless Miss Cleary gives you permission. The back of the room is set up for long stations. That's where we'll be doing a lot of printing, clay work. We might have to put our 3D projects back there to dry. The free area, the free day, our reward day supplies are in the back of the room. So those are supplies that you only get to use on reward days. That big machine back there, that is a Mrs. Cleary machine. Super heavy. I use that to flatten paper. So you do not need to be touching that at all. I know it's pretty close to the sink area, so please, hands off of that. Sink area across the room here, there's another garbage there if you need it. I'm going to be using this long, beautifully colored counter this year as our store counter, where you will get your supplies for projects. Behind that closet area, look how nice and neat those aprons are hanging up. I hope they look like that every day this year. As you can see, the long aprons are all on one side and the shorter aprons are on the other. If you are in kindergarten, first grade, for sure you're going to want the smaller apron. By second grade, my son is really bright in that video. By second grade, you can kind of choose which one fits you better. As you get older, the longer ones are a little bit nicer. Front of the room is Miss Cleary's space. You will see a garbage can over there. If you need to use the garbage can, you can. But otherwise, anything on the desk area is for Miss Cleary. The only thing you might need to grab is a tissue. So that kind of brings us around to the front of the room again. I want to take a close peek at the tables as we start to talk about the next thing on our list for this first day of art. You're going to notice something different about those caddies, I'll call them, containers. They have clothespins on them. Those clothespins are going to be really important, so we're going to chat about them.